It stings, as it should. You know, anytime losing stings, especially finishing your season like this. Um, but it just wasn't our year.
Why do you feel like it wasn't that
Say it again.
Why do you feel like it wasn't your year? And obviously, you went through a lot physically this year as well. Did it just kind of feel that way for you starting the season?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wasn't our year because we lost tonight. But you know, yeah, battling through injury, we had some ups and downs, X, Y, and Z. But I'm proud of our guys that came out and fought. So still have a lot to hang our head about. Just tonight, just unfortunate. It sucks.
How bad was the injury? And do you feel like you're going to need treatment in the summer?
Um, Nothing to talk about right now, but we'll see how the next steps, and you just kind of sit back and process and see what the next steps are.
Jalen, you've consistently used the offseason to come back a better player. Do you know what you want to work on this summer, or does that take time to refine and then go after?
Um, you take time, sit back and kind of figure it out. But I'm excited. Things didn't go your way this year. Things didn't go our way this year, um, and it's unfortunate. But we hold our head up regardless. Losing to the Knicks, feels like death. But you know, I was always taught that there's life after death. So we'll get ready for whatever's next in the journey. I'll be ready for.
Jalen, two major unexpected events for you to end the season. Obviously, the season ending in the second round and Jason's injury. How did those two things maybe reshape what you thought your summer was going to be like and how you come back next season?
Yeah, completely. Finishing in May feels weird. You know, uh, Definitely not something we were prepared for. Obviously, Jason, his injury, etc. I'm sure there's a lot to process, just as everything, you know, this whole year. But we'll meet. We'll take a couple days. It's hard, like processing it all right now in real time. Throwing all these questions at me, but I'm happy that our group, stayed together. Um, it was an honor to share the locker room with a lot of these guys. You know, it hurt to see, the emotions of all the guys, being a leader and, not being able to carry everybody to the promised land. It sucks, but it just wasn't our year.
Jalen, what was your view or kind of assessment of how Joe navigated you guys through this season?
I thought we had a great year. I thought we had a great year. Joe prepared us as best he could. We had a great mindset. We had a great mentality. Um, we just we had some unfortunate events. We had some injuries and things like that. No excuses, but it just wasn't our year.
What was your perspective of everything that went into Kristaps playing and just kind of the journey he's been on since we had that illness with Mark?
For sure. KP's been a large part of our success, our recent success last year, even going into this year. Um, in the playoffs, he made it, wasn't feeling his best, but we appreciate him getting out there. And KP's a tough guy. He has a great mentality, a great approach about himself and his game and his body. It's a tough process for everybody, but KP, you know, from an injury perspective, he was available all year long. He helped us all year long, and it just unfortunate that it ended this way.
Jalen, you're used to not winning the championship. That's the norm, right? So last year you guys do it, you don't have to deal with this feeling. What does it feel like now coming up short compared to before you experienced this like championship?
was
So what feels different about not winning now that you actually know what it's like to win the championship?
it feels the same. It almost feels worse. You know, we were trying to do something special, go back to back. We had a great group. We played well all year, so I think this probably stings even more. We just had some unfortunate events, you know, some injuries. You know, personally, I had some stuff that I was persevering through, and it just, you know, it caught up to us in the end.
You mentioned how it was an honor to play with these guys. What made this group in particular just such a joy to play with?
Just a bunch of great guys, you know, a bunch of, you know, great selfless guys about winning, you know, that, you know, put their bodies on the line, that came into work every day, that, you know, just added to the group. Yeah, no situations, no headaches, you know, no turmoil or anything like that. And, you know, that's most important, that our group we had a bunch of great days together. We didn't win in the end.
Last question, Gary.
Jim, is this being kind of knocked back to the bottom of the mountain with other teams? Can that be served as motivation? Is this kind of it's a bad day or down, but is it also a motivating day? Can you point back to this, you and the franchise, and point back to this as well? This could be a positive in a sense?
Absolutely. I don't make no excuses. Obviously, it's tough the way we went out like tonight, but the way we finished the year, personally, where I finished the year, you know, persevering through some physical stuff that I was battling through. You know, I'm proud of our group. I thought that, you know, we fought. You know, we was in a lot of battles, and it's a lot to be excited for. This journey is not the end. It's not the end for me. I'm looking forward to coming back stronger. You know, so, you know, you just take this with your chin up. You know, I know Boston, you know, it looks gloomy right now. You know, obviously with JT being out and us, you know, kind of ending the year. But it's a lot to look forward It's a lot to look forward to, and I want the city to feel excited about that. Like this is not the end. So I'm looking forward to what's next.